So good day class, we are here at part 2 of your unit 3, writing of your chapter 2 literature review. We've already talked about what is RRL, what's the importance of RRL in your part 1, and now in part 2 we have here how do we write the RRL. So we have 4 simple steps in writing the RRL and we will look into each in this video. So the 4 steps are select, analyze and evaluate, organize, and synthesize the RRL. So these 4 steps, we will look into each of these in the next slide. So the first step is selecting a literature relevant to your study. So we've discussed this already in Unit 2 when we are in topic formulation. So these are the steps in selecting a literature for your study. So first is you develop a list of keywords or variables. You already have now your chapter 1. And what are these keywords that I am talking about here? So these keywords are those variables that are found in your title and in your statement of the objective. So just list all those keywords. And then letter B, open a scholarly database. So it says here scholarly database. This must be peer-reviewed and reliable and valid articles or sources or references. So you can open here your Google Scholar again, then PubMed and Science Direct. Later, I will show you other web pages or sources that you can look into, especially for allied health sciences and education. And then next is use Boolean operators. So what are these Boolean operators? These are and, or, not, and not. So these are conjunctions to combine or exclude keywords in a search, and it will result in more focused and productive results. This should save time and effort in eliminating inappropriate hits that must be scanned before discarding. Especially now that you have your statement of the objectives, you can already use the words and or not so that you can have a focus or the results that will appear will be specifically or very similar to your study. Then last is to evaluate and select source. So remember that when you evaluate this, you will just read the abstract. You've learned that from your Unit 2. And you look if the source is reliable and valid by looking at the citation count. So you can see the citation count when you go to your Google Scholar. You can see that it's cited by how many other authors. So aside from Google Scholar and PubMed, these are some recommended search engines for your scholarly literature. You can use Scopus or Web of Science or Clarivate. You can use for educational studies, Education Resource Information Center or your ERIC. And for allied health related studies, your CINAL, your Cumulative Index of Nursing and Allied Health, and you can also use PsycInfo. So a frequently asked question in selecting your literature references, how many should I collect? For example, the variable here is your Marigold. So you select or collect 10 authors relating to Marigold and then read 10 articles and 10 sources. 10 articles, that means you have 5 related literature and 5 related studies. So remember that most of us only uses related literatures, those that are published. But actually, those that help me a lot when I'm writing the research studies is the related studies, the unpublished ones. Thesis, dissertations similar to my study. Another frequently asked question is how recent should the related literature and studies be? So this actually not only depends to your professor, but it depends on the type of the study that you're doing. So it doesn't matter if it is very old as long as the literature or the study has a quality result. For example, you are citing theories. Of course, these are not recent ones, not even 5 or 10 years. So this will be 1960s, 1970s, 1980s. So it doesn't matter if you have this. Remember, when you cite an author and this author cited another author years and decades back, you need to cite the original author, the cited author. And also for the recent ones, recent RRLs should be done especially for methodology part. For example, you're doing experimental research. Of course, you need to look at what are the new methods that they are doing right now, new reagents, new equipment that they're using for that certain study. Of course, the previous ones, you may write that and compare with the new ones, but the new ones especially are more improved version already. So now that you've selected your literature for your study, we are now ready to analyze and evaluate these RRLs that you've collected. So in analyzing and evaluating your literatures, you need to identify themes, debates, and gaps. You need to look at trends and patterns. You need to look at themes, debates, and contradictions, influential studies, and gaps. And take note of the connections of the different sources to easily organize your literature review for your next step. So multiple studies can agree or disagree in one area, and that is a very good literature that you need to put in your literature review. Where, for example, in one sentence, you have multiple authors saying or agrees to that concept or topic. So when you do analysis, remember that you are critically evaluating your literature. So you need to just skim first, look at the abstract, and scan if you seen in the abstract that this is the study that is related to your research proposal. And you do analytical reading, and the important part here is note taking and highlighting. So let me give you an example of how I do note taking and highlighting of the literatures that I've gathered for my dissertation topic. So I have here listed all the RRLs that I've seen is related to my topic, and then I highlight it. I put it in one place. You can use this OneNote for Windows 10. This is very helpful, especially for not only for my research proposal, but also for my other subjects that I've done. So, but here for your topics, you can put here all the RRL. So whenever I need to go back, I don't search it from folders already. So I can easily locate here in OneNote what are the RRLs that I've already read and what sentences did I find helpful for and related to my study. Another technique is using again a template, but this template is different from the template that I showed you when you were doing your topic search or narrowing down of your topic. Now you are in your review of related literature and you already have your research objectives or variables. So you can put here your variables, and when you have already or you've selected already a literature review, literature or references, you look at the abstract and look at what did the researcher or the author say about the variable that you have. So the result or the literature cited, let's say that author also cited from another author, you write it here. Then you look at what they say about the research questions that you have. So you can write it here. And then look at the similarities and differences with your topic or variable. You can also here put already the methodology used by that author, the research design, sampling method, and technique. And then you check the strengths and limitations of the study and look at other variables involved. This may be confounding variables, or other variables that is important that you can still insert in your research objectives. And the most important part is you need to put the full citation information. Later, I will show you techniques on how to easily do the citation. So after selecting, analyzing, and evaluating, we now organize your review of related literature. There are several ways in organizing your review of related literature. You have chronological, traditional, thematic. You also have methodological and theoretical. So if your review follows the chronological method, you could write about the materials according to when they are published. So this approach should only be followed if a clear path of research building on previous research can be identified, and that these trends follow a clear chronological order of development. For example, a literature review that focuses on continuing research about the emergence of German economic power after the fall of Soviet Union. You can also organize your papers through um, traditional method wherein you separate the local and foreign studies. And then you can also organize through thematic method or conceptual categories wherein you organize around several key themes. So thematic reviews of literature are organized around a topic or issue rather than the progression of time. However, progression of time may still be an important factor in your thematic review. For example, a review of the Internet's impact on American presidential politics could focus on the development of online political satire. So while the study focuses on one topic, the Internet's impact on American presidential politics, it will still be organized chronologically, reflecting technological developments in the media. And the only difference here between a chronological and thematic approach is what is emphasized the most. So the role of the internet in presidential politics. So note, however, that more authentic thematic reviews tend to break away from chronological order, or a review organized in this manner would shift between time periods within each section according to the point made. So I will skip methodological and your publication method and your theoretical method. So we will look at each of the these chronological, traditional, and thematic methods in organizing your RRL. So for example, this is your title, Utilization of Mabolo Fruit as an Alternative Source of Biofuel, and your specific objective, number 1, is to compare the effectiveness of Mabolo fruit extract to the commercial biofuel in terms of flammability, volatility, pH, miscibility, boiling point, and length of consumption. If you will organize the RRLs in terms of chronological method, you do from older to recent publications. So you look at all the variables, Mabolo, biofuel, flammability, volatility, pH, miscibility, boiling point, length of consumption from the oldest publication until you go to the most recent ones. When you organize your RLs in the traditional method, you will separate the local and the foreign studies. So you have foreign literatures here, foreign studies, local literatures, and local studies about each of the variables in your specific objective. But when you do a thematic method, it is organized around several key themes. For example, still the example used here is the one with Mabolo. So you will talk about first about Mabolo, and in that theme or variable, you can insert here traditional and chronological methods of organizing the literatures that you have. So in thematic, you can put all together the different ways of organizing your RRL. Then you have another variable, pH, for example, and then you can still have literatures here and put them in chronological order and organize them using the traditional method, foreign studies first, then foreign literatures, etc. So last step in writing your RRL is to write the RRL itself or to synthesize. So this is not a simple step. This is the most difficult step actually. So I will do another video for this one for part 3 of your chapter 3 PowerPoint videos.